I drink dairy. I
eat cheese.
Eat cheese. I love cheese. I literally, and the thing is, I love cheese. I don't want to live life without cheese.
Hey everybody, Klaus here. Welcome to Plant Based Cheese. We are going to be watching another episode of the Doctor's Show. This episode features Dr. Kristi Funk, who's a breast specialist, and she actually follows a vegan diet.
I think all of the meats are less healthy than you might be led to believe. Actually, the fifth source of saturated fat in the American diet is cheese, and then there's pizza, which is more cheese, and number 5 is chicken.
Right, so Dr. Kristi Funk has presented some pretty interesting information. Before the doctors try and disagree with her, let's just check the study that she's referencing. It's a pretty reliable study. There's been no industry funding, but let's see how the doctors react.
But I've always said that I pay close attention to how whatever food I'm eating was cultivated, if it's meat, how was that animal raised? If it's cheese, which comes from a cow, how was that cow raised? Where is that dairy coming from? Because I drink dairy.
Right, this is a crazy way for him to respond. If we just rewind and think about what he's responding to, she's given some credible information about the negative effects of cheese on human health. And he responds by talking about where he sources his dairy and cheese from. It's completely irrelevant. This is meant to be a health TV show. What are you doing, Dr. Stark?
Eat cheese.
Eat cheese. I love cheese. I literally, and the thing is, I love cheese. I don't want to live life without cheese.
It is true that people do like the high energy casomorphine rich foods like cheese. Casomorphine is a chemical in cheese that makes it really, really addictive. But the point I want to make here is that there's no denying the science that shows that these foods are really, really bad for human health. And as a result of that, I think it's irresponsible people like Dr. Stark, who's meant to be a health expert on TV. I think it's irresponsible that he's talking in this way about, foods like cheese. It's kind of like the heart or the lung surgeon a couple of decades ago not telling his patients about the data showing that cigarette smoking is really, really bad for human health. And when you hear these kind of crazy things coming out of these so-called experts' mouths, you kind of got to think, why are they saying this stuff? And I think, number one, it comes down to habit. And I think number two, the commercial pressures. A large chunk of the advertising revenue probably comes from the meat, dairy and egg industry. So Dr. Stark is never going to be like, no cheese, because that's going to disrupt a major source of their funding.
You have to realize, in my research, I was like, no, don't take away my 5-year age Gouda, not my Manchego. I had an entire drawer dedicated to high-end cheeses in my house.
So here we can see a doctor who really, really cares about health. This is so good to see. It's kind of like Dr. Garth Davis, who, in the previous episode of the Doctor's Show, he said he never previously followed a vegan diet, but then he saw the data and he thought, yeah, I'm going to start recommending this to my patients. Let's go to that clip and then we'll go back to this episode.
I'm not into opinions. I'm into actual science. And I'm not biased because I'm vegan. I'm vegan because I learned this stuff through science. I wrote a book telling people to eat protein. I'm a weight loss doctor. I was telling my patients to eat protein. They were getting fatter. I was getting fatter. I failed a life insurance.
No, protein is great, and so are vegetables. I don't think
protein is not great. That's the problem.
And I have the same drawer.
I
have a low-end cheese drawer as well. I have both.
The thing about cheese, so, proteins and carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram. 1 gram of cheese, 9 calories. So when it takes 10 gallons of milk to make 1 pound of cheese. So you're concentrating it down. I know, I see your face.
That's why they're so delicious.
Because I've done the research too on cheese, and cheese has not been associated with
70% saturated fat.
I know, but you can say that, but there's other data out there that supports an opposing viewpoint, which I have.
By other data, Dr. Stark means data and studies that are funded by industry. We're talking the meat industry, dairy and egg industry. And if we look at the study that he's referring to, and we look who's funding it, this is what I'm talking about. It's crazy. This is exactly the kind of thing that creates so much confusion in our society.
Which is just, look, at the end of the day,
moderation is key.
And I'm a Midwestern guy who lives in the South, who realistically...
Do you have a cheese hat?
No, but I come out here to LA, and no offense, but every other restaurant is perfect, and I love that. I love having choices in LA, but it's just not the reality.
Yes.
You go...
Dr. Stark, what are you talking about? Anybody can follow a healthy plant-based diet, whether they live in LA or outside of LA, right? People don't go out every meal. And I know you know this, so why are you saying this?
Oh, you go to other parts of the country and it's impossible to sit here and say, okay, I'm not saying we can't move there, and I'm not saying that I don't eat a primarily vegetarian-based diet, because I do believe in that. But I am of the belief that we've got to start taking incremental steps.
It's interesting to hear Dr. Stork speak now. He's being extremely vague. He's lacking clarity. He's kind of saying, oh, I do predominantly follow a vegetarian diet and people should move towards this direction. Is he saying that he agrees that a whole food plant-based diet is optimal for human health and that has been shown to prevent or reverse 14 of the 15 leading causes of death in the West? Because at the moment, it just seems like he's trying to please the advertisers, the people in the audience that don't want to change. And I think as a public figure in the health arena, he should be very, very clear on the direction people should be moving towards.
Because realistically, there are still wide swaths of the country where
Of course.
the shift from meat-based, processed food-based, when you say cheese in certain parts of the country, that means nacho cheese, and there's actually no cheese in it. It's all processed fake cheese. What I always say is, look, if you're going to eat cheese, please eat real cheese at least.
Yes.
And what you're saying is, okay, be worried about this though. And I think we're going to slowly make a shift. And I think your education is a brilliant one.
Pricier, but maybe the European cheeses, just based on what you said, how they're raising the cows, etc. Maybe the European cheeses are better. But Travis, we love our alfalfa sprouts and arugula here in SoCal.
Go broccoli.
That's why we're all.
I did have a little bit of a chuckle when they were talking about cheese again, but it was good that they finally mentioned a healthy food. Anyway, let's go to the final clip.
And I gotta say, I applaud you, Dr. Funk, because one of the things I love about you is your passion for your patients and mitigating risk factors. And I love how your focus is always, okay, what is the best thing we can be doing for our health? So I always applaud you for that.
So this encapsulates why I don't think Dr. Stork is a great proponent for health in the mainstream, because he effectively applauds Dr. Funk for having a passion for patients. But I think this should go without saying. Like, why is he telling her that? And I think he needs to take a leaf out of Dr. Oz's book, who is under the same or similar commercial pressure, but speaks out about the benefits of a plant-based diet a lot more. For example, in his recent episode, he had Dr. Bernard and Kip from What the Health on, and they were talking about the great things a plant-based diet can do for human health. And it's just a shame that Dr. Stork doesn't do that as much. But let me know down below what you think, and yeah, have a good day. Subscribe for more plant-based news. Peace out. Boom.